Mr. Chairman, and thank you for conducting this hearing and involving this committee in finding a solution to this critical issue. And it's timely, particularly because, as you recall, last night in his address, President Obama asked, quote, Congress to send him legislation that places a market-based cap on carbon pollution and drives the production of more renewable energy in America. I think it's not too much to say that this president is committed to changing the White House into a greenhouse, not just an efficient house as a model for the country, but a greenhouse in the sense of cultivating, of creating, of applying science-based approach to how we solve the critical national security issue of climate change. I think our president gets it, and we need to help him get the progress that we seek by moving forward in the very near future, in the next few months, in offering legislation to address this issue. The time to act was really long ago, and as with the economic crisis, only swift, bold action can help us be pulled back from the abyss that you have described this morning. Fortunately, the world climate, while it's worsening, the climate here on the Hill for Change is greatly improving. Last Congress, I introduced the Climate Matters Act with co-sponsored by a majority of the Democratic members of this committee, almost 100 co-sponsors that set limits on greenhouse gas pollutants. And now with Chairman Henry Waxman at the helm of the Energy and Commerce Committee, I believe our two committees can work together as partners to lead a congressional response in reaction to President Obama's leadership. While disagreeing with your conclusions on the best remedy, I particularly applaud the years of commitment of Dr. Hansen, and I share, Dr. Hansen, your zeal for action and the need to have acted yesterday. Most Americans, I think, understand that it's not whether we respond to the crisis of climate change, but how quickly we respond to it. I'm very pleased that Dr. Ekwurzel is here. The Union of Concerned Scientists was one of a large number of groups that appeared in this room last summer when we had hotter weather and when we also had a broad consensus in favor of climate legislation, and I appreciate the role the union has played in exploring this and certainly in the supportive comments it has offered on the climate change bill. Anytime you have a problem that is this massive, but where the benefits of solving it are felt years down the road, and the difficulty and pain of coming up with a solution is felt now, there will be many excuses for inaction that are very appealing from a political standpoint. The economic crisis is the latest excuse for doing nothing. In fact, I believe, as your testimony indicates, that the crisis that we have now is directly linked to our overdependence on fossil fuels and fossilized thinking, and that we need to be creating green jobs now to get us out of that crisis. Another excuse that we've heard this morning is that what we need to do is let India and China dictate our policy in this country. You know, it's not so many years ago that ExxonMobil, one of the current advocates for a carbon tax, was over telling the Chinese and the Indians that they needed to not be concerned about this problem and not participate in helping us to find a solution. I believe that you have outlined the fact that we need all of these countries cooperating, of course, to solve the climate change. It's a false discussion to say, well, let's just look at what the United States could do to contribute. We can do a great deal. My state of Texas, the biggest emitter of greenhouse gas emissions in the country that is either number one or number two with the Chinese in greenhouse emissions, can do a great deal to solve this problem. But we have to do it through cooperation and also through the kind of trade mechanism that we outlined in the Climate Matters bill. Secretary of State Clinton has been there placing this at the top of the foreign policy agenda. One of the things, Dr. Ekwurzel, that you referred to that I think is so central to the Climate Matters bill is that we have to have a rapid response in terms of scientific review, periodic review, because as we get into this, we learn even more and more, and we may see an even more rapid deterioration, and the fact that the worst case scenario we've heard about is maybe not as far-reaching as the facts dictate. Let me ask you, Dr. Ekwurzel, as far as the cap and invest approach, if you believe that an investment of some of these revenues that would be gained is critical to helping us resolve the problem and provide additional resources for energy efficiency, clean transportation, and green energy technology.
Yes, I think it's absolutely critical, as well as buffering low-income constituents that are so critical in this path forward. We need that 1-2 punch of the early cap and also ratcheting down in the second punch of reinvestment, so we can have the longer-term solutions when the cap is so low and the price of carbon goes and heat-trapping gases goes up. We need those better technologies down the road over the next 40 years. Thank you.